If you win, I lose. This is a common but rarely discussed mindset in relationships, and I've seen this pattern turn the most simple disagreement into a battle for dominance that leaves both partners feeling unseen, unheard, and disempowered. My name's Ruth Ann. I'm a clinical psychologist, an expert in relationships and issues of narcissism, so this is a pattern that I am very familiar with. In this video, we're going to uncover the roots of this competitive approach to conflict, its impact on the health of your relationships, and practical strategies that can help foster empathy and collaboration in place of competition. Whether you recognize this pattern in yourself or in your partner, you are in the right place. And trust me when I say that if you're able to implement even some of the suggestions in this video, then both you and your partner are likely to be grateful that you did. So let's begin by looking at a real life example sent in by one of our viewers. He writes, "When I have a conflict with my partner, I often find myself thinking, if she wins, I lose. And this leaves me wrestling with envy and resentment anytime she gets her way. How can I handle this differently?" Now, some of you are probably thinking, narcissist alert! Hear me out, I get it. Many of us have been hurt in relationships with partners who are more focused on winning than on working together for the sake of the relationship. And that behavior can be toxic, can leave you feeling unseen, unheard, and that you have to walk around on eggshells just to keep the peace. Nothing in this video is about excusing bad behavior. Rather, it's about understanding some of the deeper issues that might be at play. And for couples where both parties genuinely want to change the dynamic of their relationship, this understanding can be a real game changer. So I commend the commenter for having the courage to ask this powerful question and for taking responsibility to address this issue in his relationship. If you are someone who sees conflict as a zero-sum game, if you win, I lose, if I win, you lose, then the first thing I invite you to do is to recognize that the topic of the conflict is rarely the real issue. You could be fighting about who does household chores, how to spend your money, where to go on vacation. These topics are just the surface level. Underneath them, there are likely underlying patterns, underlying themes between you and your partner. So your first job is to get underneath the content and figure out what those underlying patterns are. When I work with couples, I will often say, you think you've had 500 arguments, but I suspect you may have had the same argument 500 times. The topic of the conflict may change, but the underlying pattern and what you and your partner are each fighting for probably stays more or less the same. Going back to the commenter who sees fighting as a win-lose situation, I'm guessing that what you fight for is power and control in your relationship. For you, compromising or adapting to your partner may feel in some ways diminishing to you. You may feel like you're being controlled or manipulated, or that you're losing out in some way. Now, I am guessing here, so I would suggest you take a little bit of time to put this in your own words. What is it that you're fighting for in your relationship? To help you do this, think about a time where you and your partner were in a really heated discussion about something. Maybe you were fighting over who does the washing up. Take a step back and ask yourself, what was I really fighting for? I very much doubt it was really about the dishes. Notice how you feel both physically and emotionally when you think about that conflict, especially when you think about the possibility of your partner winning. Do you feel weak, disempowered, that someone's taking advantage of you? Do you feel humiliated or belittled in some way? Now, you may recognize that some of your emotional reactions are pretty disproportionate to the actual situation. If that's the case, don't be embarrassed and don't try to hide it. These big reactions that are so disproportionate to the situation are really helpful clues to the underlying patterns that might be at play. Are some of these feelings familiar to you from your history? What experiences taught you that you need to be in control? When did you promise to yourself that you would never let yourself be silenced and you would make sure that you got your way? I would guess that you've had some experiences that have left you mistrustful of other people and feeling like you have to be very strong and very domineering in order to not be taken advantage of. Once again, I am taking some educated guesses, so do take the time to really think about what your experiences have been and to put it in your own words. It may be helpful to see this envious, resentful side of you that needs to have his way as a survival strategy that has helped you in the past. Perhaps this side of you insists that your voice is heard. It stops you from being silenced, from being sidelined, or from being taken advantage of. I don't want you to see this side of you as bad or wrong or needing to be stomped out. Rather, I want you to honor where it comes from and how it may have helped you to survive in terrible situations in your past. However, you may also need to remind yourself that your partner is not the source of humiliation or disempowerment or silencing that led to you developing this mode. And to be honest with yourself about the impact this mode is having on you, on your partner, and on your relationship today. This is where you, as a grown man, as a healthy adult, can have a conversation with that very defensive mode that goes something like, hey, I understand where you're coming from. I understand and I'm grateful for the ways that you kept me safe in situations where I was silenced or sidelined or being taken advantage of. But I am not in those situations anymore. My partner is not trying to get one over on me. She is not the enemy. And I want to do something different in this relationship. So you can relax, you can take a step back and trust me to take care of myself and my partner so we can have a better relationship. Now, as this healthier adult side of you starts to take control in a healthy way, you can also make space to be more aware of your partner. It's quite likely that she has learned to be accommodating for you, to not rock the boat, to be quiet, to keep the peace, and maybe to sacrifice herself a little bit for your sake. She may have had past experiences that have taught her to put other people's needs before her own, or to hold back from expressing her true feelings and wishes. Allow yourself to develop that awareness and empathy for her. I appreciate that what I'm asking you to do here is very challenging, especially if you're someone whose past experiences have taught you that you need to look out for your own interests because no one else will. Asking you to pay attention to your partner's needs and concerns may feel like I'm asking you to forget about your own. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a little enlightened self-interest here. Imagine the benefits to you of having a partner who feels seen, who feels heard, who feels cared for, maybe even for the first time in her life. What would it be like to have a partner who isn't bristling with old resentments from all the times that she's been accommodating and sacrificed herself for you? Taking care of her needs doesn't diminish you at all. Quite the opposite. It gives you the opportunity to transform your relationship. This is what it means to move from me versus you to us. I'm going to suggest 3 practical steps that you can take to move your relationship from being more of a me versus you to more of an us. Each of these steps gets progressively more difficult, but the rewards also get progressively greater. Step 1. Start accepting your partner's influence in situations where the stakes feel low. You can adopt a lighthearted and even playful approach to this. Challenge yourself to let your partner take control more often. Ask her what she'd like to put on television, what she'd like to eat for dinner, what music she might like to listen to in the car. Accept her influence and see what happens. How does it affect you and your relationship when she gets her way? Hopefully, you're going to discover that you don't end up being taken advantage of, and you don't lose control or lose your voice in any way. This is another opportunity for that healthy, grown man in you to have a conversation with that more defensive coping mode that says, hey, look what's happening. I'm accepting someone else's influence. I'm letting someone else make decisions. I'm letting her have her way, and nothing bad is happening. In fact, there are good things happening. This creates good feeling in our relationship, and that's good for both of us. Hopefully that wasn't so bad, and you're going to feel ready to move up a gear to step 2. Ask, how can I be a better partner? Now, this isn't asking your partner for a performance review. Really, you want to ask this with an attitude of, how can I love you better? How can I better meet your needs? This isn't about being given a list of demands. It's about listening to your partner, her experiences and her needs, and seeing what happens when you make a genuine, sincere attempt to better meet her needs. The chances are that you're going to see a lot of good results from this. Your partner is likely to express much more gratitude. You'll have a much deeper sense of connection, and you'll be building a relationship that's going to feel so much easier and much less like a power struggle. These are great places to start, and you may even be pleasantly surprised at how easily and how quickly you can develop a much greater sense of connection and collaboration with your partner when you put them into practice. However, in situations where there's real conflict between you and your partner, things are likely to be much more challenging, and you are going to need to be very intentional in how you approach those conflicts, which leads me on to step 3. Adopt an attitude of compassionate curiosity in conflict. Remember, in moments of conflict, neither you nor your partner are going to be your best self. It's likely that you both have underlying emotional pain that leads you to react disproportionately to the situation and to struggle to maintain your connection. So we need to intentionally slow way down. Don't rush to find solutions. Especially, don't rush to fight for your preferred solution. And don't even suggest a halfway compromise. Instead, intentionally put finding a solution on hold until you have fully and compassionately understood where your partner is coming from. What is she thinking and feeling? Don't assume you know. Really find out from her what her thoughts are, what her feelings are, where they come from, what's important to her in this conflict, what does she value, what's her intention, what does the way that she approaches this conflict tell you about her and her needs. And if she is someone who struggles to make herself heard, to express her feelings, then you may need to take a little extra responsibility for giving her the space to do that. In that same vein, if you can hold yourself back from fighting your corner and demanding that you get your way, and instead take the time to articulate what you're thinking and feeling, what's important to you, what your intentions are, it's likely that your partner is going to build much more empathy, understanding, and compassion for you and where you're coming from. By adopting the spirit of compassionate curiosity rather than a determination to win, it's very likely that you and your partner will come to solutions to your conflict that actually work for both of you. Of course, not all conflicts can be resolved, but it is possible to live with differences in your relationship in a way that is caring, empathic, and compassionate, and doesn't require either you or your partner to lose your voice, or to lose control, or to take control in your relationship. I'm not suggesting that any of this is going to be easy. These are tricky patterns in relationships, and enlisting the help of a good couples or individual therapist would likely be very beneficial to you. As someone who's worked with many individuals and couples in similar situations, your willingness to change as the more controlling partner would make me feel very hopeful for your potential and the potential in your relationship. Some relationship conflict can feel unresolvable, like each person's needs are forever doomed to conflict with the others. If that sounds familiar to you, check out this video where I talk about a couple where one partner wants to get close and the other wants more distance. It's a powerful look at how understanding what's going on beneath the surface of a conflict can help a couple move from fighting each other to true connection.